Good afternoon. Today I started back at my teaching job, and as all teachers, to complete annual mandated reporting. And unfortunately, it is triggering to go through that because of abuse I have experienced. And I would say abuse that was enabled by the culture in the Lord's recovery. So I am looking for some of my notes because I think it's also worthwhile for those who don't have to take this mandated reporters training to know what constitutes abuse, etc. Providing a safe and healthy environment for children is one of the most important things we adults can do, is one of the statements. I'm just going to read some notes that I took from the time. Perpetrators include those who allow child abuse to occur. So you don't have to be a direct abuser to be a perpetrator of child abuse. You just have to allow it. If you are aware of it and you allow it, then you're a perpetrator of child abuse. So those who were aware of Philip Lee molesting me and others, assaulting others, I was 16. There were many sisters that were fondled and touched by Philip Lee in 1987 at either in the spring break trip where I experienced that or in the summer young people's training. If you were aware of it and you did nothing, then you're a perpetrator of child abuse. Abuse is not determined by what a perpetrator does as much as the experience of the victim, how the victim feels, and the consequences of the abuse. This is paraphrased, but basically you can say, well, he just did that. But what you should say is, how did the child feel? Yeah, he just measured my breasts. How did that make me feel? So and that's not, he didn't just do that. He measured other parts as well. So let me read. He crossed boundaries. And even in the unrighteous world that is called assault, I will read for you that how much more among believers, how much higher our standards should be. More notes. Supervisors of minors are mandated reporters of sexual abuse, which is considered a form of child abuse. Sexual harassment behaviors include physical touching or assault accomplished with use of force, violence, menace, or fear, includes physical touching. Sexual exploitation includes fondling, as well as sexual conduct that may be harmful to a minor's mental, emotional, or physical welfare. It may include sexual harassment. Victims of exploitation include those with prior history of child abuse or neglect, and exploitation occurs when those exploiting the minors have power over them by virtue of their age, gender, intellect, status, position of responsibility, physical strength, and or economic or other resources. Young people targeted become isolated from their peers and family or caregivers by their experience often because they can't speak about it. 93% of adult perpetrators are known to the victim. Keeping children safe can be challenging because perpetrators are frequently in positions of trust. Red flags include adults who do not respect boundaries or listen when someone tells them no, engages in touching that a child or a child's parents state or would state as being unwanted. So if the touching is unwanted by the child or the child's parents and someone engages in it anyway, that is sexual assault of a child. Child sexual abuse perpetrators look for specific characteristics in children, including children who are passive, quiet, troubled, lonely, or left unsupervised. Children who are particularly trusting. They can extend this to establishing a trusting relationship with the victim's family as well. Emotional abuse includes rejecting, ignoring, shaming, humiliating, isolating, and more. Telling someone that they are unwanted or unloved, showing little interest in a person, and not initiating or returning affection is part of rejecting and ignoring. And this would be somebody, of course, that's, that you should show affection toward. And I think I took out child because this can also be spousal abuse. A spouse should never feel unwanted, unloved, rejected, ignored, shamed, humiliated, isolated, nor should fellow brothers and sisters in their church community feel rejected, ignored, shamed, humiliated, isolated, unwanted, unloved, no affection. Shaming or humiliating includes calling a person names, belittling, demeaning, berating, mocking, and using language or taking action that takes aim at someone's feelings or self-worth. Terrorizing includes accusing, blaming, or insulting someone for something out of their control or beyond their capabilities to understand, punishing or threatening, abandonment, harm, or death, setting them up for failure, excessively screaming or yelling with the intent to cause a fearful reaction or taking advantage of a weakness or a reliance on others. Isolating includes keeping someone from their peers or from positive activities, forbidding stimulating experiences. Corrupting someone includes telling lies to justify actions or ideas, encouraging misbehavior, as well as engaging someone in criminal acts. I believe that libel, slander, financial fraud, those are criminal acts. Involving, engaging others in such is corrupting them. Domestic or intimate partner violence can be a cause of child abuse because children are less likely to be successful in school, in social activities, and are at higher risk of delinquent behavior, separation anxiety, developmental regression, sleep problems, etc., when they observe domestic or intimate partner violence in their home. This is a form of emotional abuse because the child may experience harmful emotional consequences from domestic violence that they witness. Red flags of adult perpetrators of emotional abuse include indifference toward another person's welfare or problems, rejecting, calling someone cruel, damaging, or inappropriate names, withholding affection, not tending to a person's needs, poor anger management or emotional self-regulation, inappropriate control, including lack of control of oneself, over control or inconsistent control of other matters and things and people, erratic behaviors, or difficulty providing care due to potential mental or substance use disorders, preferential treatment to others, like among siblings, preferential treatment of one child over another, unreasonable demands, or unrealistic expectations. A key factor is whether there is a pattern of this behavior. In such cases, telltale signs should not be ignored. Action should be taken. Focus should be on the reaction of the victim or the effect on the victim, the effect that such treatment is having on a victim. That's where the focus should be. Not, well, what did he do? And why did he do it? And did the child ask for it? What was the effect? What was the reaction of the victim? And what is the effect on the victim? Okay, willful harming means acts that are done on purpose or with the intent to cause harm or suffering or to place someone in a situation where they will be harmed. Willful harming includes indifference to one's needs or temperament that may be different from others. Willful harming includes humiliation, which is causing shame or embarrassment, Denigration, which is negative description of something that another person achieves or expresses interest in. Willful harming also includes neglect, which is failing to provide essential emotional support or recognition of a person's needs. Unrelenting pressure is also willful harming, unrealistic expectations, negative comparisons of a child or a person to others who, quote, meet those expectations. Types of willful harming include mental suffering caused by willful harming, which deprives a victim from emotional support necessary for them to feel secure, loved, wanted, and worthy. Inappropriate or excessively harsh disciplinary action that can result in physical, mental, or emotional injury, abandonment, exploitation, extended periods of isolation are all forms of willful harming. Signs of possible abuse include any type of disclosure, any type, even if the disclosure is vague or involves coded or confusing word choices or descriptions. Sometimes it's very hard to speak about abuse, so any attempt to disclose, even if it's vague, that can be a sign of possible abuse. Things that increase risk or vulnerability, someone less likely to report abuse or neglect, as well as an isolated or dependent target. Let's see. Things that increase risk or vulnerability are when someone is less likely to report abuse or neglect, as well as someone who's isolated, which makes them less likely to report it, or they are dependent, possibly on their perpetrator. Difficulty reporting, fear, and belief that an abuser's neglect is somehow deserved also contribute to the perpetuation of abuse. The most crucial belief that a teacher, and I would just say like a human being, must have is that a victim is not to blame. There is nothing a child can do to prevent or stop abuse happening to them. That shouldn't be on the children. Children often turn to personnel in times of trouble. Because their boundaries have been violated, it is especially important to respect the need for physical and emotional space and not violate emotional boundaries. Support services to children and parents can be offered by making referrals to local counseling agencies. Provide a lifeline to an abused child. Be a safe, trustworthy person that a child can confide in or ask for help by conveying your interest, your care, giving that child or that person a sense that his or her feelings matter. Believe, take seriously the information that the victim gives, react calmly to the information, let the victim know that he or she is not responsible for what happened, and acknowledge if the person is not comfortable opening to you, letting them know that you are still there to offer support. Let the victim know that it is okay to talk about the abuse, that they are in a safe place for this conversation to occur. Reassure the victim that they should not feel guilty, that the abuse is not their fault. I would just say, as an abuse survivor, I felt extremely guilty in the beginning opening to anybody about abuse, because I was taught to cover, and love does cover and wants to cover, but abuse should not be protected. Abuse needs to be addressed, confronted, and stopped. And it's hard for many survivors to speak about it. Okay, so here is where it defines what touching is inappropriate, and this is just the last notes I took. Physical contact is inappropriate if it does not feel right to the recipient, or if the recipient indicates that it's unwanted. So when I looked at Naomi Hunt, I remember very vividly looking over at her to my left and saying, "This is awkward." That's the only word I could vaguely get out. This is awkward. That is indicating that such touch was unwanted. Then it says, never touch a child in the area between the waist and mid-thigh. So that includes upper thighs / hips and the waist. So I was measured on my breast, waist, and hips, upper thighs. near the crotch area. Never touch a child in the area between the waist and mid-thigh or near the chest. Never touch a child in a way that could be misinterpreted. So I think I'll stop there for now. I have a lot more to share. I have this document, very, very fine print, and it's, how many pages? 8 pages, but that includes sources are on this. But I've been waiting to read some of this, but they've just been busy days recently, and now I'm back in my teaching job. But God bless you, God keep you, God shine away all the darkness. So 2 more things. I'm looking forward to having dinner with a very dear friend who was at UCLA with me in our undergrad years and in the full-time training with me, and has been a commenter and a subscriber in my videos. So looking forward to that. And also I was encouraged, just ask you that if you do like the videos, to like them and to subscribe, because somebody just told me, please ask people to do that because it'll help get the word out. So thank you. Take care. Bye.